Coffee lovers around the world consider it the magical boost that can turn any morning from a groggy mess to a productive start. For many of us, a steaming hot cup of coffee is the first thing we reach for when we wake up and the last thing we sip before bed. Because let's be honest, sometimes we need that extra jolt to finish that TV series. But, my dear coffee lovers, let's face it, coffee is not breakfast. Sure, it may feel like a meal in a cup, but let's take a closer look at why relying on coffee alone to start your day might not be the best idea. I see this all the time in my practice and in my everyday surroundings, the daily grind of modern life. People running around with no food in their bellies, relying on coffee to power them through the day as they try to do too much. It's like they're trying to be superheroes but forgot to eat their breakfast before putting on the cape. After all, caffeine may give them a temporary boost, but a hangry crash is sure to follow.
Oh, I'm fine. It's just that life is pointless and nothing matters, and I'm always tired.
It's time to stop and smell the coffee and find out why starting your day with a cup of joe instead of breakfast may be affecting your body and your mind in a negative way. Let's start off by focusing on one of the major components of coffee: caffeine. Caffeine is a stimulant that affects the central nervous system by blocking adenosine receptors in the brain. Now, adenosine is a naturally occurring compound in the body that plays a role in regulating sleep and wakefulness. It builds up in the brain throughout the day, promoting feelings of drowsiness and fatigue. Adenosine also helps to dilate blood vessels and improve blood flow to the brain. When caffeine is consumed, it enters the bloodstream and is carried to the brain, where it blocks the adenosine receptors. This prevents adenosine from binding to its receptors and exerting its normal effect. As a result, caffeine promotes feelings of wakefulness, alertness, and increased energy. Caffeine can also increase the release of other neurotransmitters, such as dopamine and adrenaline, which can further enhance feelings of arousal and wakefulness. Great, right? Well, here's the thing. Whilst the caffeine in coffee is blocking the adenosine receptors, adenosine is still being produced in the background. So when the effect of caffeine wears off, we find ourselves crashing and reaching for either another cup of coffee or something sweet to get the energy levels back up. Don't pretend like it's never happened to you.
Don't ask! For God's sakes, don't ask!
Also, since caffeine blocks the adenosine receptors, it can disrupt the body's natural sleep-wake cycle by reducing the body's ability to recognize when it is time to sleep. And this can lead to insomnia, sleep disturbances, as well as daytime fatigue. Additionally, the release of adrenaline from caffeine will increase heart rate and blood pressure, which can be harmful to those with cardiovascular conditions. Excessive caffeine intake can lead to anxiety, nervousness, and even panic attacks. And just to add insult to injury, overuse or chronic use of caffeine can lead to tolerance, meaning that the body adapts to the presence of caffeine and requires larger doses to achieve the same level of alertness or energy. This can lead to a cycle of dependence on caffeine, where we may feel the need to consume even more caffeine to function normally.
Well, the doctor says 1 cup of coffee a day can't hurt.
Not so fun. So what about decaffeinated coffee, I hear you ask? Well, unfortunately, a lot of the decaffeination processes are reliant on the use of heat, water, and chemical solvents. And trace elements of these chemical solvents are often left in the coffee. Now, it may not give you the jitters, but it's not exactly a clean slate. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing, still full of toxins, lurking beneath the surface, and could potentially be more harmful than normal coffee. There is a method of decaffeination called the Swiss water method that doesn't contain chemicals, just FYI. Blood sugar balance. When you wake up in the morning, your blood sugar is usually low and your body's in a state of fasting. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach can cause a spike in blood sugar, which can lead to a subsequent crash later in the morning. This can cause fatigue, irritability, and even make it harder to concentrate. I cannot tell you how many clients I have who drink coffee first thing in the morning on an empty stomach with no food and then find themselves crashing after lunch, craving sweets in the afternoon, struggling to stay asleep at night, or having hormonal issues and weight gain. If you're swapping out your breakfast for a cup of black coffee in the hopes of shedding some weight, the blood sugar imbalances could actually be having the opposite effect. The insulin dysregulation could be sending you straight to that mid-afternoon chocolate binge. I have seen this happen time and time again. And the appetite suppressing effect you're temporarily getting from coffee on an empty stomach, that'll be due to cortisol secretion. Cortisol is a hormone that's released in response to stress. It's also known as the fight or flight hormone because it prepares your body to respond to danger. When you wake up in the morning, your cortisol levels are naturally higher, which can make you feel alert and awake. However, drinking coffee can interfere with this natural process by causing your body to release even more cortisol and putting our bodies in a prolonged stress state. And let's face it, people, do we need to add any more stress to our already stress-filled, busy modern lives? I don't think so. High cortisol has been linked to blood sugar imbalances, immune system suppression, thyroid abnormalities, digestive impairment, hormonal imbalances, and fertility issues, and inflammation, which is a subject for a whole other video. Over time, this constant activation of cortisol can further lead to a dependence on coffee to feel awake and can even lead to adrenal exhaustion, which is something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Or would I? And finally, did you know that coffee is one of the most heavily sprayed crops in the world? Many conventional coffee beans are treated with pesticides, which we know can be harmful to our health. These chemicals can disrupt your endocrine system and lead to hormone imbalances. They can also harm the environment and the people who grow and harvest the coffee beans. Black coffee does not contain calories, protein, or fiber. Even when combined with animal or plant milks and sugar, it can have the same blood sugar disrupting and cortisol increasing effect when consumed as a breakfast replacement. Despite what you may believe, running around drinking coffee on an empty stomach whilst trying to get everything done is actually counterproductive. Sure, the caffeine may give you a temporary boost, but it's like trying to power a car with an empty gas tank. You may get a few miles down the road, but eventually you're going to sputter to a stop. So put down that cup of joe and opt for a nourishing breakfast instead. A little bit of sustenance goes a long way in powering you through the day. Trust me, your body and mind will thank you for it. Our bodies need nourishment after the overnight fast, and the best way to ensure we have plenty of energy throughout the day is to put some fuel back into this tank. This is even more important for women because our hormones are in constant ebb and flow and are sensitive to any stressors and blood sugar imbalances. The type of breakfast you will thrive on may change from person to person, but ensuring it is balanced and composed of nutrient-dense whole foods is a must. If you would like a little extra pep, then green tea is a lovely alternative. The theanine in green tea helps to balance out the caffeine and gives you the boost without the jitters. Dandelion or roasted chicory coffee is also a great alternative which supports liver health at the same time. Other mineral-rich drinks to consider in the morning are coconut water and herbal infusions. Reevaluate your sleep habits, whether you're fueling yourself adequately throughout the day or if you're burning the candle at both ends and could use some boundaries to ensure you have some time to rest and recuperate. This and much more is taught at our college. Visit our website for a list of our in-class and online courses. Link in the description. Now, if you're replacing your breakfast with coffee in the hopes of maybe shedding a few pounds, check out our video coming up next where we discuss the link between sleep and weight loss. Until next time.